Greetings, I'm Dr. Mark Winton over here at the University of Central Florida Department of Criminal Justice, and I'm going to make some videos for our course CCJ 5015, The Nature of Crime. This course really is a course about theory, and that is what we will focus our attention on for the rest of the semester. I basically have a few things on our Canvas or web course site already. So you'll find the syllabus and you can read through the course objectives, and you can see the evaluation procedures. There will be 4 modules worth 25 points each, 2 debate halls worth 10 points each, a theory application paper worth 50 points, and a final exam worth 30 points. Total of 200 possible points there, and I do grade on the plus minus system, and information will be posted for each of the modules, debate halls, the paper, and the exam. And you'll also find on page 6 of the syllabus our course schedule. So that will be helpful. This is our textbook. Criminological Theory, Context and Consequences by Lilly, Cullen, and Ball. It's the 6th edition, so this has been around a while. It's really a good textbook. So we'll get a wealth of information from that, and I'll post some additional materials as well. I wanted to just spend a few minutes just kind of talking about theory, and we all have our own personal theories about why things occur, our explanations for particular events, our explanations for our behavior, our explanations for others, how others behave. And one of the things I'd like to point out first is that some theories do better jobs of explaining than others, and some theories have more support from research findings. And of course, in the important big scheme of things, we want to take a look at how theories have consequences regarding policies. So policies are based on theories, and of course what we want to know are the policies based on sound theories that are supported in the literature, or are they based on erroneous assumptions and conflicting data and other problems. Okay, let me mention Dr. Weiss's work on assessing basically theory. And Weiss talked about this in the Journal of Sex Research back in 1998 in volume 35, pages 100 to 114. Dr. Weiss said that we could assess theories based on relevant relevant areas, and to rate how these areas are addressed by a particular theory. So basically it comes up with assessment criteria, and I'd like to mention those because I think those are helpful when we start thinking about theories. But one is the conceptual clarity of the theory. So think about if the theory has concepts that are clearly articulated, that we can explain those concepts to others and they will make sense. The second is internal consistency. Does the theory hang together? Do the different parts of that theory work with each other? We don't want a theory that contradicts and conflicts within that particular theory. We don't want the concepts and some of the other features of that theory to be contradictory. Also, testability. Are we able to test out hypotheses that are related to theories? And parsimony. Have we basically tried to come up with a theory that addresses what we're trying to answer in the simplest terms and variables, and using really what we need and not bringing in extraneous material that confuses rather than clarifies. Also, does the theory recognize human diversity and also different contexts of social behavior? Does the theory have research supporting it? In other words, how much research has been generated and what are those findings? And finally, is the theory congruent with the research data? So we can take a closer look at that as well. So we have lots of ideas related to theories. I posted a little survey, a theoretical orientation survey on our website, and I'll let you take that. So I don't want to, kind of go over it now, but I want you to go ahead and have a chance to take a look at that, and you can see how you score. It's not necessarily a reliable and valid survey. It's just some factors I came up with related to different ways of thinking about crime, and then you can see if it actually matches your own thinking as you think or how you think. And also, theories are out there, and theorists compete with each other. I'm not saying that if you go to a conference and you go afterwards to check out what people are doing, you don't have the social learning theorists hanging out here and the symbolic interactionists over here and the biosocial over there and the conflict theorists over there. But you do have theorists that work together and try to improve and innovate on each other's theories and build theories. And probably by the end of the semester, you'll see clearly I have a bias toward a particular theory or set of theories related to crime. In fact, I don't believe it's covered in your textbook, so we'll have to go over that at some point. And I'll have to explain why it's not covered in most textbooks. And why would I be using a theory that's not real popular? So we'll talk about that a little bit later as well. An interesting study came out in The Criminologist, a newsletter of the American Society of Criminology, and they have surveyed over a number of years their members, asking them about their theoretical orientations or what they think explains persistent crime and things of that nature. So when they asked their sample, and looking at table 1 on page 25, theories judged to have the greatest explanatory power for serious, persistent criminality, they found, looking at, kind of ranking them, the one that had most support was social learning theory, followed by life course developmental theory, followed by social control theory, and then social disorganization theory, then self-control, then biosocial. And then there are a lot of other theories as we could go down there as well. But kind of the idea that, the top 5 really to explain serious and persistent offending were social learning, life course developmental, social control, social disorganization, and self-control. And then biosocial actually was 6th right there. And so what's clear is that theory is explanation, trying to explain, in this case, criminal behavior or deviance. Also, we want to explain, at some level, why and how we make laws, and how does something actually become defined as being criminal or deviant. And we also recognize that theories cannot be falsified. What we can do is test some hypotheses to see if they support that theory. So theories are not really proved, but they gain support through empirical research. We'll cover a lot of different theories, and you'll see that they are based on some basic premises on how people operate and the world operates, and how we make sense of things. And we'll also see that relates to our recommendations for interventions or policies, and also the way that we conduct our research. And of course, it's interesting that theories change over time, and our support of different theories change. And if I can recall thinking really, really hard when I first got into this field, way back in the 80s, and remembering my own education and socialization and the theories that I used, I know that how I have changed in relationship to theories that I used and believed were the better ones to apply. A lot of it was based on what I was doing at that particular time. I have not always been teaching in the criminal justice department at UCF, although at this particular point I have been for the past 17 years. And then prior to that, I taught in the sociology department at UCF for 10 years. So that's 27 years teaching it at UCF. And yes, I started when I was about 15. So no, make a bad joke there. The reality is I've been at UCF a long time, 27 years. But prior to that, I had another career working in the mental health field, the child protection field, forensic mental health counseling. And actually, that's where I really started. I have a bachelor's degree in psychology from UCF that I earned in 1984, before the internet, before cell phones, before fax machines. We did have television, but that was it. And we had drive-in movie theaters. I don't know if they still have those or not. So the interesting thing is I've seen a lot of changes over the years, both in the mental health field where I started my career, and also in sociology and of course in criminology and criminal justice. So I've worked in the field for a long time. Someone asked me how long I've been studying, for example, terrorism, and I tell them, oh, I'd say probably about 45 years. And they kind of look at me and they think, wow, he's maybe older than he looks. But then you have to try to figure out, well, when did I first study terrorism? And so, that's a whole nother story in itself. Anyway, welcome to the course. I think the main goal is to make theory exciting and something that is useful. And I've always liked theory. In fact, that's one of my favorite areas, theories, and studying theory, reading about theory, writing about theory, generating theory. I know some of you thinking that's really sad, but there's nothing better than spending a Saturday night with criminological theory and some other books as well. And there's other materials that I'll be introducing throughout. And also trying to explain how we can make things better. That's probably what we all want to do in the long run. We want to make things better, but we find there's a lot of disagreements. I've been teaching long enough that that I know that sometimes out there in the environment, the political environment, things are a little bit more chaotic than at other times. And certainly that will have an influence on policy changes in the criminal justice system and interventions and how we carry out our practices. And that has a lot to do with administrative changes. I used to use the ping pong analogy when I worked in child protection. It took me about a year to figure out how to do things, and then the administration changed at the state level, and they changed things, and so then I had to relearn. It took me about another year to learn that new way, and then a new administration a few years later changes, and back and forth. What I want to do is basically do things that work, and that really is why I think theory is so important. I want to explain behavior, and I also want to understand the how and the why, the when, the what, and the where, and whatever I can understand to prevent crime from occurring in the first place. That would be nice if we really didn't need a lot of criminologists and criminal justice system workers, because there wasn't crime. But unfortunately, we have crime, and we have to address it. So welcome to the course, and I hope that this is an enjoyable course with a lot of critical thinking and learning going on. Thank you.